Hello learners. Till now, we have had a look at the various types of environmental legislations in India and also had a look at the international agreements in the arena of environment. Today, I will be talking to you about the major environmental movements which have happened in India. Therefore, to understand that, first of all, we'll have a look at the concept and the emergence of these movements, and then we will be discussing about these movements. What is an environmental movement to start with? An environmental movement can be defined as a social or political movement. It may be a social movement, it may be a political movement for the conservation of environment or for the improvement of the state of the environment. So, an environmental movement is a movement which may be social or political, but what are its objectives? The objective may be the conservation of the environment or the improvement of the present state of environment. These movements are generally people's protest for protecting the natural environment from degradation, decay, and destruction by various activities of human beings, and for promoting development of the fragile ecosystem which is required for human development. A very wonderful, comprehensive definition of environmental movement given by Bawa Noorjahan in 1999. Just again, we'll see this definition. It says an environment movement is basically a people's protest. Why are the people protesting? They are protesting for the natural resource being degraded further by human activities, decay and destruction of ecosystem by human beings for their own development, and therefore these people come together and fight against the system. The environmental movements are terms often used for any social or political movement directed towards preservation, restoration, or enhancement of the natural environment. So it is not that an environmental movement will only be when some new project is coming. An environmental movement may be because we need to restore the environment to its original level or enhance the existing situation of the natural environment. The environmental movements are outcome of people trying to gain control over their natural resources. Unjust development policies of the government, socio-economic inequity, and environmental degradation. So, environmental movements are not only because the environment has degraded. It may so happen that this environmental degradation has led to increased socio-economic inequities, or the policies have been towards crony capitalism. Unjust policies of the government of development can also lead to these environmental movements. Now, let us have a look at the features of environmental movements. The first is that environmental movements are not spontaneous development. They do not happen overnight. Certain things have developed over a long period of time, which has enraged people, which has reduced the quality of the environment, which has changed the economic status and the social status of the people, or it has increased the inequities or inequalities of income and the social stratification. Therefore, these environmental movements develop over a period of time. Most of the environmental movements are generally non-class, non-political, non-violent, and non-revolutionary democratic mobilization. That is, the environmental movements go beyond the social stratification of the society, caste, creed, gender. So they are non-class movements. Generally, they are non-political as well, because generally they are against the state governments which have implemented some kind of human development projects or human activities which have had an adverse effect on the environment. They are also generally non-violent and non-revolutionary democratic mobilization, which are where leaders are made by the people. Environmental movement mostly oppose the capitalization of nature by the market system. That is, when the environmental goods or environment inputs or natural inputs are being given in the hands of the capitalist class. So, environmental movements and generally oppose those capitalization of nature by the market system and the state control of the natural resources. Now, after understanding that what is an environmental movement is, let us now have a look at the emergence of environmental movements in India. The emergence of environmental movements in India can be traced back to the British period, though they were not known as the environmental movements then. The peasant rebellion against the Britishers for restricting access to forest land and produce are well documented. We have seen that how the colonial rule in India had taken away the rights of the forest dwellers in under their as a state right. So at that time, when the forest was taken away by the indigenous and the traditional people by the Britishers, there were a lot of peasant rebellions. So these peasant rebellions were well documented, but even though they were not called as the environmental movement. A very important environmental movement was the Mulshi Satyagraha in 1920 against a dam being built by Tata Company on the river Mura in Maharashtra. And it was one of the first anti-dam struggles in India. So, area near Mumbai, near in the coastal area of Konkan near Pune, this area, this particular river, Mura River, their dam was proposed to be built by Tata Company. At that time, Congressman Senapati Bapat took lead against the making of this dam. So what happened was that then the company offered compensation to the people, affected people. So then certain people took the compensation. Certain people were not against did not want to take the compensation and just did not want the dam to be built. But ultimately the dam was built. But the importance of the movement was that people got the compensation for the land on which the dam was being built, which was going to be affected by this dam. And after that, no subsequent dams were built in that area. So that was one of the first anti-dam movement in India. Now, when we talk about environmental conflicts or environmental movements which happen, they happen because of conflicts which arise over forest. The movements may be because of the conflicts in the mining sector, or the movement may happen because there is a conflict over water resources. We will have a look at some major movements which have happened. One of the most famous environmental movements in India is the Chipko movement. The Chipko movement started in the Chamoli district and later at the Tehri Garhwal district of Uttarakhand. The leaders of this movement were Sundarlal Bahuguna and Gaura Devi. It was in 1973 that this movement was started. The objective was to protect the trees on the Himalayan slopes from the access of the contractors of the forest. Chipko in Hindi means embracing. So these women, or in this movement, the trees which were being felled for timber in these Himalayan slopes, they were hugged by the women of that area. Therefore, they were called, this movement is called as a Chipko movement. Now, in the Chipko movement, the trigger was the outcome of the growth in development that took place with the perspective of border security after 1963 China border conflict. We all know that Indo-China war in 1963 happened. So then, on pretext of having growth and development in that region for the purpose of security, that was the first trigger. It proved disastrous for the forest and the total environment. because a lot of deforestation took place there, and then there were widespread floods which inundated this area in 1970 because a lot of soil erosion took place in the Himalayan slopes. Further, what happened in 1973 was that the Forest Department refused to allot trees to the Shaligram Swaraj Sangha, which was a cooperative for agriculture implements, but allotted the same forest to a private company, Simon Company, for the logging of the timber. So the forest trees were not given to that cooperative, the Shaligram Swaraj Sangha, but they were allotted to a private company. So initially this cooperative DGSS, the Shaligram Sabha, protested by lying in front of timber trucks which were coming for felling of the trees by that company, burning grazing and timber depots, and similar to Quit India movement. But Chandi Prasad Bhatt suggested embracing the trees, leading to the birth of Chipko movement. So they said that instead of having a violent protest or by lying in front of timber trucks which did not fruit any results, so they said let us start embracing these trees. So also very important aspect was that the women were a part of this movement, because most of the men in search of jobs migrated from the hillsides to the other areas of the country. So women were taking a larger brunt of happening of this environmental degradation. They were unable to secure firewood. They were unable to get any livelihood source. So they were at the forefront of this Chipko movement. So this non-violent protest method was inspired by Mahatma Gandhi's principle of Satyagraha. Later on, Mr. Sundarlal Bahuguna coined the Chipko slogan, "Ecology is permanent economy." That is, if environment is not there, ecology is not there, economy is not going to be there. The Chipko movement succeeded in bringing a 15-year ban on the green felling in the Himalayan forest of Uttar Pradesh. Now this region is in Uttarakhand. It also heightened awareness about the ecological and social issues associated with deforestation. As I told you, it was the women who were at the forefront, and it influenced forest policies and conservation efforts in India. Some of the important aspects of success for the movement were the close links between livelihoods of the local people and the nature of the movement. As I told you, that the people depended on these forests for their livelihoods. Non-violence technique by embracing the trees was a very innovative way of saving the environment, and simplicity and sincerity of the leaders who were involved in this Chipko movement. This particular Chipko movement, as we know, was related to the forest conservation. The next movement we will be talking about is the Silent Valley movement. It was in year 1978. There's a place called Silent Valley. It's an evergreen tropical forest in the Palakkad district of Kerala, India. The leaders of this movement were the Kerala Sastra Sahitya Parishad, that is an organization, many NGOs, and poet activist Sugatha Kumari. The aim of this movement was to protect the moist evergreen forest in the district from being destroyed by a hydroelectric project. The location, as we have just seen, was the Silent Valley, which is a tropical rainforest. The significance of this valley was that it was known for its unique biodiversity, and it was home to many endangered species, including the lion-tailed mac. The valley's pristine condition had remained largely undisturbed until the late 20th century. What was the cause of this movement was that there was a hydroelectrical project which was proposed. So in early 1970s, the Kerala State Electricity Board proposed a hydroelectric project that involved constructing a dam across the river which runs through the Silent Valley. There were a lot of environmental concerns which were raised because this project threatened to submerge a significant portion of the rainforest, which was a very biodiverse region, which was home to many endangered species. So, this significant portion of the forest was going to submerge if this project was implemented. This could lead to the destruction of the unique flora and fauna of the rainforest. Therefore, in 1980s, the movement gained momentum with the involvement of many national and international organizations. The Indian government appointed the MGK Menon Committee to review the project, and in 1983, the committee recommended the project be abandoned, citing potential ecological damage. In 1984, the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, influenced by the committee's findings and the growing public pressure, decided to scrap the project. And in 1995, the Silent Valley was declared as a national park by the government of Kerala, ensuring its protection from future development projects. What happened, what method was used in this Silent Valley movement were public campaigns, scientific studies, international scientists getting involved in these studies. Legal and political advocacy were used as a method of this campaign. Various successes can be given for this Silent Valley. The cancellation of the hydroelectrical project and the establishment of the Silent Valley National Park is one of a conservation success of this environmental movement. It also led to an awareness, a raised awareness about the importance of preserving unique ecosystem, and it set a precedent for future environmental activism in the country. It also helped to influence future forest conservation policies and highlighted the need for a sustainable development practice. The next environmental movement which we will be talking about is the Narmada Bachao Andolan. Many of you would have heard the name of Medha Patkar, who is very, very closely associated with this Narmada Bachao Andolan. It started in the year 1985 in Narmada, on Narmada River, which flows through the state of Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra, which is known as Ma Narmada and is worshipped by many. The leaders of this movement were Medha Patkar, Baba Amte, many Adivasis, farmers, environmentalists and human rights activists. The aim of this movement was, it was basically a social movement against a number of large dams, particularly the Sardar Sarovar Dam, being built across the Narmada River. The Narmada River is the fifth longest river in India and it flows through the state of Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Gujarat. It's a crucial water source for millions of people and supports diverse ecosystem and agricultural activities. Not only that, on the basin of the river, the village constitute 81% and comprise mainly of tribal population. So, Narmada River Basin has 81% villages which constitute the tribal population. This particular Andolan is a crusade or was a crusade to ensure justice of the affected people due to dam construction. As I just told you, the main thrust of the Andolan was to oppose the Sardar Sarovar project, which was the largest dam to be built on the Narmada. The concerns included displacement of thousands of people, loss of livelihoods because these villagers would be then displaced, submergence of the forest, and environmental degradation. In 1985, this Andolan was formed to oppose the construction of this Sardar Sarovar Dam and other projects on Narmada. In 1990, you see, it's a very long Andolan which took place. A significant march, that is the Narmada Jan Vikas Sangharsh Yatra, was organized from Madhya Pradesh to Gujarat, spreading awareness about dams' impact. In 1993, the World Bank, which initially funded the Sardar Sarovar project, seeing the public sentiment and understanding the damage it may cause to the environment, to the people there, withdrew its support following an independent review that criticized the project's handling of environmental and resettlement of the people displaced by this project. In 2000, the Supreme Court of India allowed the construction of the Sardar Sarovar Dam, sadly, to proceed but mandated strict compliance with rehabilitation measures for displaced people. In 2006, the height of Sardar Sarovar Dam was raised, leading to renewed protests and legal battles due to inadequate rehabilitation measures. Now, this movement used various tools of protest such as Satyagraha, Jal Samarpan, Rasta Roko, Gaon Bandh, demonstrations and rallies, hunger strikes and blockade of the projects. So, Narmada Bachao Andolan is one of the longest protests which we have seen. It has been successful to some extent, but has been unsuccessful because ultimately the dam got constructed. Because when it comes between the choice between economic development and environment, in countries like India, sadly, economic development takes a precedence. The next movement I'm going to talk to you about is the Tehri Dam movement. Located in Uttarakhand in Tehri, the dam is one of the tallest dams in the world, built on Bhagirathi River, a major tributary of the Ganga. The cause of this movement was the proposed Tehri hydroelectrical project proposed to generate 2400 megawatt of electricity, provide irrigation to 270,000 hectares of land, and supply drinking water to Delhi and Uttar Pradesh. What were the concerns in this movement? It said that it will lead to large-scale displacement of local communities, submergence of the town of Tehri. The whole town is going to submerge if this hydroelectrical project comes. Environmental degradation, seismic risk because it is located in the hilly region. So, seismic risk, that is the risk of earthquake due to this dam location, is very high. In 1978, the initial proposal for Tehri Dam faced opposition from local communities and environmentalists. It was in the 1980s and 90s, Sundarlal Bahugan again began his campaign against the dam and had many indefinite fasts, which increased the intensity of protest and brought this issue to national spotlight. However, despite protest, in 2001, the dam construction continued. The government kept on emphasizing the dam's potential benefits for power generation and water supply. In 2004, the reservoir started filling, leading to gradual submergence of the town of Tehri and displacement of the thousands of residents. Not only this, it also submerged the forest and the farmland along with the risk of seismic activity, which has raised significant environment concerns. So we have seen here that few movements have been successful. Few movements have, even though they have raised the awareness about such projects, but they have not been completely successful in stopping these projects. So let us have a revision of what we have done in this lecture. We have talked about that environmental movements, even though they have their roots in the pre-independence era also, but they became prominent in 1970s. Also because India was started a lot of development in the late 1970s. These issues ranged from protection of people's right to access of natural resources, preventing commercialization of natural resources and environmental pollution, rehabilitation of displaced people, etc. These movements at least have raised the levels of people consciousness and achieved some success, even though they have not been 100% successful all the time, but they have raised the level of consciousness of the people. So, a recent movement, one of the movement which took place was in Mumbai for the RA forest, wherein metro station shed was being created by cutting down the Aare forest in Mumbai region, which keeps on suffering because of unchecked population growth and migration. So I hope as young learners, you will appreciate and understand how important it is and how what a knife, it's a, um, it's a cakewalk. It's not a cakewalk, or it's a knife edge balance which you have to maintain as policy makers when we have to choose between environment and economic development. In the last lecture, which we will be having after this, we will be talking about how poverty or economic development and environment and economic development are a choice which developing countries like India have to make. So thank you very much.